everybody, welcome back to Auto Scholar with Mr. B. I'm Mr. B, and today we have this 2013 Lexus CT200h, and we are going to replace these spark plugs in it. So just got a set of spark plugs. I just crossed over 120,000 miles, which is the replacement interval for spark plugs for this vehicle. So I wanted to go ahead and put a set in, and you're along for the ride. I'm going to give you a few tips that are going to help you along the way and make your car rock solid. First thing we're going to need is a set of spark plugs. These are 909-190125 spark plugs. Next thing we're going to need is a 14mm deep well socket. We are going to need an extension, a ratchet or T-handle, a 10mm socket, does not have to be deep well, a torque wrench, a flathead screwdriver, and some anti-seize lubricant for our spark plugs. Okay, so the first step is to remove our engine cover here. Go ahead and get that out of the way. It just pulls out, and then here we can see our ignition coils. Now really quickly, just notice that this one's black, gray, so they should go back the same. These are the same connectors, so you can swap them back and forth, and if you do that, you're going to get a misfire on those two cylinders. So make sure that if you can't remember this, take a picture, write it down, label them, put tape around here and make sure you get the plugs back where they go. And we have some 10mm bolts here that we have to take out for. So I'm going to unplug these. These they press like this, and you may need, this is why I told you you need the screwdriver. You may need to very carefully put a screwdriver under here to pop this lock loose, and then you can pull out. Be very careful. If these are older, they can break, and they can wiggle free and cause a misfire. So we're going to go ahead and take all these off. And then we're going to need our 10mm right here. Once you have these loose, they should just lift out. I always keep these in order, so they go exactly back. A lot of people will replace their coils at this time. It's up to you. But for now, I'm just going to replace the spark plugs. What you want to look for is make sure that these don't have any fluid like oil or anything on them. If they do, then your valve cover gasket has, the seal around here has failed, and it has let oil in here, and that can also cause a misfire. Now we are going to take our 14mm here with our extension and our 3/8 drive ratchet, and we're going to gently start loosening these spark plugs. You want to do this while the engine is cold. If you do it when the engine's warm, you can very well damage the threads that the spark plugs go in. If you don't have an extension this long, you can use a shorter one, which I'm probably going to have to do because I see here this is getting in the way, so I'm going to go get a shorter extension. Let's see. That works a little bit better. They'll be a little kind of tight coming out, but it should pretty much go to hand tight within a few rotations. It's a little aggravating right here. Lift this up, slide it in. On this last one here, when I pulled the coil out, the seal for the coil came off. So just monitor for that and make sure that you slide it back on. You definitely want that seal there because if any water or anything gets down here in this engine, it's a bad deal. It can cause a misfire as well. Now you can do these one at a time, or you can do them all at one. I like to take the spark plugs out in order and compare them just to check for engine health. You know, if you've got a weird looking spark plug, then it could mean that your engine is in trouble. So I generally like to compare, and what you should see when you compare all 4 spark plugs is they should all look just about the same. Okay, now these spark plugs are going to be stuck in here. You're going to need to get you some not vice grips, but needle nose pliers, or even better, a magnet down there to pick up on those. Yeah, so using a magnet is going to be your best bet on getting these out. And again, I keep them in order. So let's see what we got. So here are our spark plugs, and they look pretty good. They all look fairly uniform. See if I can get the focus in here. Just a gray, ashy look here, and they look just about the same on every one. And that's what you're looking for. If one of these would be extremely black or just a completely different color from another, then maybe I've got a problem with that cylinder. And so I would be more concerned than I am seeing this here. But these all look fairly good. Now let's go ahead and get our new ones ready to install. Okay, so here's our new spark plug. I got these from Toyota. There was 4 for about $60, and they come with these little plastic sleeves. And this is to keep the gap from getting messed up while it's in transit and in the parts department and everything else. And these gap out at about 1 millimeter. So with the tips of these, they have a very small piece of a very expensive metal there. And so if we used a regular gapper in here, like we would gap any other spark plug, then there's a very good possibility that we chip that piece of metal off. So they don't recommend that these are gapped, but they do gap out 1 millimeter, okay? So because this is a different metal than what we're screwing it into, we're gonna have to put something on here. And this is a Permatex anti-seize lubricant. And I've used this stuff for years. And what I do, you can actually buy this stuff at the parts store, and it comes like in a little ketchup pack, and that's all you need. For the average person in the shop, this jug right here will probably last you a lifetime, but you don't want to glob this stuff on. You don't want this to touch this, but you just want to dab just a little bit on the threads. And I normally do it in 2 places. I normally flip it 180 degrees and do it the other place. And what this will do is when I'm screwing this into the cylinder head, it's going to lubricate the threads. And next time when I take these out, which will probably be 10 years from now, it's not going to cause a problem. So you want to make sure that none of that anti-seize gets on the ceramic part. And then we're going to put these in and torque them to the correct specifications, and we'll be done. Okay, I'm going to do cylinder 1 and just show you guys how to do it. And then everything else is going to be just a repeat of this, okay? So when I'm putting this in, I want to be very gentle in dropping it into the cylinder. I do not want it to fall and possibly close that gap that is preset by the factory. And when I'm done with that, you do not want to use a power tool for this, okay? You want to go in and you're twisting this with your fingers, okay? The spark plug has a taper at the bottom of it, so it should just fall right in the hole and screw in very nicely. So we're just going to screw this in with our hand, and then we're going to get our friend the torque wrench, and we're going to set it to the correct torque. So this is in good. Again, that's all you want to do there. Let's grab the torque wrench. Okay, we're at 15 foot-pounds or 20 Newton meters. Very, very little bit of torque here. These don't torque down very hard at all. You want to get swing. And that's it. So after this, what we're going to do is we're going to put this coil back in and plug everything back up. This 10 millimeter I could not find a torque specifications for that 10 millimeter, so just Don't over tighten it because this is going into an aluminum pan right here. So just be very careful. And don't forget, you just want to tighten these. Just snug them up. And then we're going to plug our coils back in. Remember, black, gray, black, and gray. And we are going to finish up with the engine cover. Make sure it's snug in there. Make sure you don't forget any tools up here. And we're done. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, give me a like and of course subscribe to the channel. I do have a lot of videos on the CT200H and the Prius, along with some hybrid theory videos if you just want to know how your car works better. So I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, VK, and TikTok. Just look for MasterTech Mr. B or Autoscholar with Mr. B. I post all kinds of stuff on those platforms as well. So good luck with your repair. If you finished it and you did a good job, I'm proud of you. We'll see you next time on Autoscholar with Mr. B.